Alrighty, it's Friday. It's a happy Friday. I pray and hope it's a happy Friday for you, everyone. My name's Austin. This is Flashpoint Friday. And if you've been trekking with this, Flashpoint is evolving. And I'm excited about it because I want this to be the beginning of your turnaround story. Turnaround for your relationship, turnaround for your business. It's time to turn things around. Today, we're going to talk specifically about turning your relationship around. This could be any relationship. Now, I want to be clear. I'm going to focus on relationships, your most precious relationships. Hello, Tony. It could be a romantic relationship. It could be how about this? Parents and children. Parents and children. That's a relationship that can be stressed. I want to turn things around for you. So this Flashpoint topic is new. It's evolving. It's about your relationship flashpoint. Think about your most precious relationships and think about what it would take to turn those relationships around. And you may feel like your relationship doesn't need to turn around, but if your relationship is stagnant, it might need to turn around. I'm going to get into this today, and I'm going to tell you what gave birth to this topic today. Because some of the things I do are planned out, but some of them are completely spontaneous. So today I want to thank one of my mentors, James McNeil. Relationships are your specialty. Thank you, Tony. Thank you so much. And I want to help people with their relationships. You know, they say turn your pain into your purpose. I've had a lot of pain in relationships. How about you? Have you had a lot of pain in relationships? Are you in some pain right now? I'm going to hit on one area that I think causes a lot of pain in relationships. Could be romantic, could be parents and children, could be lovers, couples, friends, even some close work relationships that could be stressed right now. I want you to share this. I want you to share this because I know the power of this. This isn't going to solve the world on this particular video, but it could completely transform today. It could transform a heated situation. So let me tell you what happened today. It's Flashpoint Friday. You should be happy. Number one, if you can't feel good, feel a little bit better. Okay. Thanks, Jenna. Appreciate that. So here we go. Today, I'm participating in James McNeil's 30-day miracle challenge. And if you don't know what that is, I want you to know that. Let me say it this way. Never hire a coach or a mentor who doesn't have a coach or a mentor. So I work with people that can fill my cup so I can pour out more value to you. So this morning, one of the calls to action was to write down 30 things that you're grateful for. So I got my book here. I'm writing down 30 things that I'm grateful for. And what happened is I get these insights. And sometimes this is why it's important to do the work, because you may feel like, the work, I've done that before. I've done the work before. But the gift can be not related to the work that you're specifically doing, because I'm doing the work. And when you're thinking about what you're grateful for, you start to think about relationships. And then the insight that I had was about what came to me as parents and children, and how that these relationships with parents and children can be stressed. Children get upset with their parents and parents get upset with their children. But then it fits so well with romantic relationships too. And so if you're in a stressed relationship, I want to get into it, but this is what gave birth to it. I was doing the work and I'm thinking about Flashpoint Friday, and boom, lo and behold, I got this great insight for you today. So this is the part you've been waiting for. If you're in a stressed relationship that you want to turn around, it's first important to understand what might be happening. And what I came to the conclusion is that it usually comes from an expectation not met. An expectation not met. Now, the expectation could have been a spoken expectation. It could have been an anticipated expectation that was never spoken. So it could be a spoken expectation. In other words, one person said something to you, it created an expectation, the expectation wasn't met, or it's a series of unmet expectations based on verbalization, based on something that was verbalized. Next, it could be something that was not expressed, not verbalized. It was an anticipated expectation. In other words, you made an assumption and that's what happens. So there's an expectation, there's an assumption that's created, and now there's a met or unmet expectation. But the stress comes in when the expectation is not met. This could be a series of unmet expectations. It could be one unmet expectations. More often than not, it's a series of unmet expectations, whether verbalized or non-verbalized. Here's what happens. If there's an unmet expectation, friction and stress starts to build. But here's what I want to call you to do because you're listening to me. We cannot
catch that.
Oh,
you can also try spelling it.
Siri is listening. Siri is listening. Funny. Anyway, Siri has expectations as well. So we make an assumption about that, and then what happens is we start to wait for that expectation. But here's what happens. We get into the other person's biography and what they should do. So now we're into what the other person should do for us, and the expectation is not met. So let me know if this is making sense, because we're all guilty of this, right? I'm expecting, I was told something and expectation wasn't met. I wasn't told something, but I made an assumption that it was going to happen, and there's an expectation that wasn't met. Let me know if this relates to you, because if you're in a stressed relationship, you are most likely dealing with an unmet expectation. So here's what happens. Here's the problem is we can't control the other person, can we? As much as we want to make them do something, we can't control the other party. And what happens is, if you know the circle of influence, I don't know if you understand what that is, but I won't get too deep into that. But when you get into what another person should do, you leave your circle of influence and you go into the circle of concern where you have no influence. And you end up wasting a lot of energy and you have zero influence. So here's what we can do. So the problem is we make assumptions. And again, it could be something that somebody verbalized. That's what makes it more challenging. But here's what we can do. We can embrace how we feel about it without responding to the person. So we can embrace how we feel, because you're entitled to feel. You should allow yourself to feel. You should be courageous enough to feel. But that doesn't mean you have to react and go after the other person right away. And this is the mistake that people make. Expectation not met, emotions, feelings, immediate reaction without conscious contemplation. So what I want you to do is get back into the circle of influence, which is your conscious contemplation about what's happening. Feel what's happening. Now let that go. Move toward letting it go. And here's how you let it go. Here's the solution. You think of one thing that you can be grateful for about that person. One thing that you can be grateful for about that person. And I don't care what it is. You can pick one thing to be grateful for, and that could be they showed up for me when I needed them most. They loved me. My parents provided for me. They gave me a school to go to. They bought me a car. They put food on the table. I don't have to pay to live here. Find one thing to be grateful for about the person. One thing. So I want you to think about this person right now who you're stressed about. Who is stressing you out? Is it a work colleague? Is it a parent? Is it a child? Is it a lover? Is it a spouse? I want you to get out of the circle of concern, which is blame, an unmet expectation, I want you to get into the circle of influence. And what I want you to do, I want you to pause and I want you to think about one thing that you're grateful for about this person. Because I know this person has done things for you. I know this person has been there for you at times. And then what I want you to do, are you ready? This may be challenging depending on the relationship. I want you to give something. I want you to give. And what I want you to give is something small for no reason at all. Give something small for no reason at all. It could be a compliment, a heartfelt compliment. It could be a small token, a gift, a small gift of thoughtfulness. It could be a handwritten card. I wanted to thank you. You made coffee today. I wanted to thank you for putting my lunch out. I wanted to thank you for cleaning up. I wanted to thank you for doing the laundry. I noticed that you do it. I wanted to thank you for that. It's the small acts that are usually unnoticed. And when you start to notice the small acts that people do, it creates it's a major catalyst for change. And when you do this, it's extremely powerful, and it is an invitation for the other person to reciprocate. And you change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. So when you change the way you're looking at this person because they did not meet an expectation, and the moment you move to gratitude, and I'm not saying it's a switch. So if you're just jumping in this video, this isn't a switch. It's a process to go down, but it starts with conscious contemplation about the event, void of immediate reaction, because it's the immediate reaction that gets us into trouble. And when we can pause and allow the moment, allow ourselves to feel, and if the person is in our presence, just excuse yourself. I'm processing something right now. Give me a moment. I need to take a walk. I'm going to be back. I need to go into the other room. I need to do something. I'll be back. Give yourself that. I did a video this morning, and one of the things I said on it, and this is one of the themes that I convey in a lot of the work that I do, it's give yourself time, space, and grace, because everything in this world is immediate. It's demanding. The world is an anxious place. Would you agree with me? The world society has an anxious energy. It wants it now. There's always a rush. There's pressure. There's push. There's always something demanding. And so if we are in society and we're unconscious, we're going to get into an anxious place where it's instant reaction, instant expectation. So it takes work to do conscious contemplation and to breathe. And it takes a little bit of uncomfort effort, maybe a little awkward to say, I need to go for a walk. I need to go to the other room. Give me a moment. I'm processing. Allow me to breathe and start to create that habit with the other person so that when you come back, you can change the situation. That's how change happens, because immediate reactions are not always the best, especially when we're in a heightened state of emotion. And so these things are small things that can change a relationship today. It takes work on your part. And the challenge is that we might be thinking it's the other person that needs to change. It's the other person that didn't meet the expectation. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to flip the switch. If you're feeling that, you're the catalyst of change. I know that's paradoxical to what you might think, but that is the way. And it's written about in the spiritual text. We know Jesus said, turn the other cheek. But this is a little different. This is a way to feel what's happening, right? To acknowledge it. So let me just recap and we're going to close this out. Stressed relationship that you want to turn around, right? You're feeling the pressure of an unmet expectation. That's where it comes from. The problem is it's either verbalized or non-verbalized. We start to make assumptions about how the other person feels about us, which may not be true because they're assumptions. And we know what the word assumptions means, but we do it anyway. But that's okay. We're human. We're going to do it. And let me just say this, those assumptions come out of fear because we're fearing that we might lose something. So we have to fully understand and control. So we make conjectures about what's happening so we can protect ourselves. That's not the answer. The answer the solution is to feel what's happening, get into conscious contemplation before you get into reaction. And then you're going to think of one thing you can be grateful about for that particular person. I don't care how small it is. Really allow the thing that you're grateful for that person, and then move to give. Give them a small token, a compliment, a written card, a small gift, something that will say something small for no reason at all. Give them something small for no reason at all. And then you watch what happens. Your relationship will absolutely transform because you are the change agent. You are the one that's setting the example, because what we do as human beings, we get into our heads, we make assumptions out of fear of loss, and then we're not changing the relationship. It takes one person to change a relationship. One person, hey, Lisa, how are you? It takes one person to appreciate the other person, one aspect about the other person. It takes strength on your part. The moment you move from unmet expectation to appreciation with a person, one small thing to appreciate, you completely change the dynamic. And then when you give them something small for no reason at all, you are setting an example of how you want your relationship to be. This is simple 101. It's extremely hard to do, especially if you've been hurt, especially if you're dealing with stressed relationship that's been doing unmet expectations over time, right? But it can change. It's a flashpoint. The flashpoint is the turnaround. And flashpoints come from micro moments where people become aware. They have a heightened awareness, and they consciously contemplate. They create a new action that is a higher action as opposed to a lower reaction, and it changes everything. I've been there. I've done it. I've been blessed with the challenge of many conflicting relationships. I've made so many mistakes in relationships. I've fallen down. Anyway, I'm not here to bore you with the gory details, but I've learned the hard way, and love calls us to act differently. Love calls us to do something differently. So if these people in your life are loved, you love them, chances are you are. And if you're you're in an earshot of this, you are the one that can be the proactive force to change it. And this goes for a child. If there's a teenager listening to this and you're having a problem with your parents, same thing. Stop, do some conscious contemplation, feel what you're feeling about what the parent did, because parents are human. They're not superheroes, although we might think they are. They're flawed people, just like us. So if it's a parent, you want to appreciate your parent. Again, it's not just flipping a switch. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to enroll in this process of I'm experiencing this. I'm accepting this experience. I'm accepting how I feel right in the moment, but I'm also not going to react right away. I'm going to get into conscious contemplation. I'm going to allow myself to feel, and then I'm going to let go of those emotions because they shouldn't stick around forever anyway. And then I'm going to find one thing I'm grateful for about my parent. What am I grateful for? What am I grateful for about my parents? What have they done for me? And if you really stop and think about it, you can't even fully remember all the things that they've done for you. You can't even fully comprehend all the sacrifices. And this for most people, not all, but even if your blood parent wasn't there for you, you may have an adopted parent or a family member that played that role. And what they've done for you is immeasurable. You can't even measure it. So I'm asking you to grab one thing that you're grateful for. They loved me during a difficult time. Without them, I would have crumbled. They provided food for me. They provided shelter. They gave me the basis of life. They gave me love. One parent loved me, and that's enough to get me to where I am. And once you start to move into appreciation, do something nice for your parent. Do something nice. Give them a gift. It could be a small token. Again, I'm going to say it again. Something small for no reason at all. And you will change the situation. You will turn the relationship around. This is so critical right now. So I pray that you share this, that this gets to the right people that are dealing with a relationship conflict. Let's face it, your relationship needs a flashpoint moment. It needs a turnaround, because if it stays stagnant, it's going to regress. And actually, it doesn't, stagnation is really just regression in disguise, right? Stagnation is really just regression in disguise. That's why it's so important to get into forward motion. If you're in contemplation, that's one thing, but we need to get into forward motion. We need to get into progress, and then eventually move to progress toward our highest aspirations. This has been Flashpoint Friday. My name is Austin. This is your turnaround story personified. We are just getting started, and we are going to have so much more. We're going to be launching some things in October. I want you to stay tuned. We're going to be launching your turnaround story, where you're going to go into the new year on fire in a great way. You're going to go into the new year on fire. You're going to rise above whatever's happening. All the stuff happening in the world, I want you to rise above. I want you to rise above. I want you to know that you can rise above. And I don't care how you feel right now in this moment. What I mean is, I care how you feel, but what I'm saying is, I don't care if you feel down, because that's not where you're going to stay. You're going to rise up, and we're going to go into 2020, hearts on fire, blazing a new path. We're going to create flashpoint moments for ourselves, for others. We're going to create flashpoints in our relationships. We're going to create flashpoints in our personal life. We're going to create flashpoints in our business, where things will never be the same again. And you can mark my words as I'm saying it. If you step into it and you allow it, it will happen for you. It absolutely will happen. I know it, because it's happened for me, and it continues to happen for me. This is Flashpoint Friday. My name's Austin. God bless you all. I'm sending you love. Turn your relationships around today. Follow this process. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Jenna. Thanks, Lisa, and whoever else is listening. God bless you.